Hey, it's Friday night, and you know what that means. You're sitting at home, you're on your phone, you're watching Utopian Baseball Universe content because that's what people do. Nobody's out on date nights. Nobody's socializing. They're here because they know we've got Sal Tartaglia, we got Tim St. Clair. Tonight is our East Division preview show. We're going to be unveiling the rosters for all 8 East Division teams. We're going to kick off tonight. Sal Tartaglia's Philadelphia Phillies. Sal, how you doing tonight?
All right, Joe. Yourself?
Doing good. So what we're going to do now tonight, for the Phillies and Mets, because we got Phillies and Mets themed guests, if you will, we're going to unveil the entire rosters on the show. When we get to teams like Montreal and Toronto, we're going to feature the new players to each roster. And then tonight, in about an hour or so, I'm going to post what I'm looking at right now. It's going to be the 40-man rosters for every team. We might have some more guests later tonight, but again, we are going to kick off with Philadelphia. Philadelphia, Sal, is one of the 12 teams that have yet to make the postseason in the Utopian Baseball Universe, but I think they're due. There's a lot of talent here. Steve Carlton threw the first no-hitter in Utopian Baseball Universe history. Robin Roberts has thrown a no-hitter.
Wow.
You got the obvious names, Mike Schmidt, Ryan Howard, Jimmy Rollins.
Chase some infield.
Yeah, I mean, just a ton of talent here. But let's take a look at this roster. And Sal, right off the bat, we're gonna put you in the GM spot right away. We got 2 catchers. We got Real Muto and we got Dutch Dalton. If you're running this Philadelphia franchise, which for all intents and purposes you are right now, who are we signing as a third catcher on this Phillies team? And this can go all the way back to the early days of the National League.
Well, I got to go with Boney.
Yep.
Kravitz was a pretty good catcher, but I don't think he had the numbers Boney had. Not that he was known for his numbers. He was stability, but he was pretty clutch also. So I got to go with Boney. Absolutely.
Now this is the part of the show where I upset a guest. We talked about this earlier before we went on the air. So the way we craft the rosters in the Utopian Baseball Universe is that every one player is assigned to one team, and quite honestly, roster management is the hardest, but I think the most fun part of the Utopian Baseball Universe, because you've got some players, Bob Boone included, where you think of 2 teams.
Right.
And I don't know if it was just because of lack of talent on the other side of the coast, but we actually have Boone with the Angels.
Yeah.
Right?
In the Utopian Baseball Universe. So we're gonna.
I took a shot.
Look, and there's no wrong answers.
Right.
At some point, we're only in season 3. At some point, we might feature a little bit of player movement. We just for now.
Can I interrupt? If we can get and you do this, just like you have fans of every team, we can have like a winter meetings. Oh, how awesome would that be?
Oh, that would take over my life. I mean, I would love that. I would love that. Now, one of the reasons that we don't have the player movement this early is because I'll give you an example. Last year, now Tim and I are Mets fans. When Francisco Lindor was traded from the Indians to the Mets, we were thrilled, right, Tim?
Oh, it was wonderful.
We loved it.
Yes.
A friend of mine has I think a 10-year-old son.
So was I.
But I have a friend of mine, a member of this group, has a 10-year-old son who loved Francisco Lindor, and they're Cleveland fans. And he was just so upset that Lindor was going to the Mets. And I said, Jessica, let's get Max on the show tonight, because I'm going to announce to him live that Francisco Lindor is going to be with Cleveland forever in the universe. Okay? Now, the last thing I want to do is 2 years into making a promise to this 10-year-old kid saying Lindor's a Met. Sorry. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
the player movement piece, I just want to be careful with, because
Okay.
one of the, I think, early calling cards of the universe was that your players aren't going to move. We're not going to have relocation. We're not going to have lockouts. We're not going to have strikes. So, but how fun would it be, Tim, if you took the bottom 8 teams every year, let's say 5 years in, 6 years in, and said, okay, Griffey's a free agent.
Yeah.
How bad do you want him? And then take a representative from, each of those 8 franchises and state your case. And then, so again, that is not out of the question. We could see that type of movement in the future, but with that being said, we will we'll make sure to have a Bob Boone night in Philadelphia when the Angels come to Philadelphia.
Yep.
But Sal, who else?
Let me see if I'm following correctly.
Yes.
With respect to the Booney situation, and it makes perfect sense that he was, already picked up because he has a good career there down there. So, keeping that in mind, the player availability because of multi-team, affiliation. Okay.
Yes.
I would go with Lieberthal next because I'm sure he never played for anyone else. And there's a chance, even if he did, that they wouldn't look at him as their go-to guy or would be on a roster. Not that he's a plug, but with respect to his career in the bigs with one team, am I using that right?
Yes. I mean, the fact that here's the thing, since Mike Lieberthal is not represented, there really is no wrong answer at this point. Okay. Even if Mike Lieberthal only played a year there,
right?
If this is the name,
right, just like Dalton could have been a Marlin because he had success there, however briefly, but
So
okay, so you can just throw names and there's no right or wrong answer.
I mean, the only quote wrong answer would be if it's someone that's already represented where I can't move them. Yeah. If they're not,
that's what I meant. Not wrong. He's already like Booney. He's already picked up.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we're going to try to get Mike Lieberthal's family on the show later tonight to let them know that Mike Lieberthal is coming to the Utopian Baseball Universe.
How about that?
All right. First base for the Phillies. We have Ryan Howard and John Kruk.
Right.
Now, again, this is the next name isn't set in stone, but in doing a little bit of research and, again, using this book as reference, Tom Stone, Now Taking the Field, baseball's all-time dream teams for every franchise.
Right.
A name popped up, and, again, Sal's probably more familiar with this gentleman than I am, Fred Luderis.
Really not familiar.
Okay. Older player, kind of an on-base guy, but again, there wasn't a real obvious name.
I guess Chuck Klein was a Cub then.
Well, I do have Chuck Klein, but I have him in the outfield. Did he?
Well, he was outfielder, first baseman, but okay. All right. At least he's on the Phillies, and because he had time with the Cubs beforehand or after. But what's this guy, Garris? Yeah.
His name is Fred Luderis, and there's not much more I can tell you other than I'm trusting the document that we're pulling from here. And second base, Chase Utley, Juan Samuel, and again another player I'm not as familiar with, Tony Taylor.
Oh yeah, good ball player.
Great.
Taylor was there longer, but I would go with Trio, unless he's with another team.
Manny Trio.
Yeah,
Manny Trio.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tony Taylor.
Manny Trio was like I had collected you get sticker books when you were a kid.
Of course.
He would
when he made the All-Star team with the Phillies in like '83, the gold foil sticker, that was the one that I needed to get, and we would go to this store and I loved I'm a Met fan, but I love Manny Trio because of that sticker.
He broke the record for chances and games and all, for errorless games. But he would hold the ball at the last second, sometimes look at it, and then whip it like underhand sidearm.
Yeah,
and
just
it was a laser.
Arm, right?
The guy had a laser. Oh, my God. Yeah.
This is exactly why we have gentlemen like Sal and Tim on the show, because I'm familiar with Manny Trio as well. It just not every name just pops in when you need it the most. So welcome to the universe, Manny Trio.
All right. Yes.
Third base, a lesser known guy named Mike Schmidt snuck onto the roster. And then we went with a current player, Alec Boehm. And then I always loved Dave Hollins. Do we have a problem with these three?
Not at all. I loved Hollins. Hollins. Yeah.
Shortstop, we got Jimmy Rollins. One of my favorite players as a kid when he was a Cub, Larry Boa.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who actually hit for the cycle last year in the universe.
Right.
He's only hit one homer and one triple in the universe, and it was in the same game. And then Dave Bancroft.
Good ball player.
All right.
Yeah.
Larry Bowa one-time Met, by the way, in '85.
Was Granny Hamner a shortstop?
Who?
Granny Hamner.
That name I'm not as familiar with. So
yeah.
Let me just check to see if he's mentioned in this. Let's see. This is a very big book, by the way. It's like 600 pages.
It was
all right, so they do have Hamner listed as one of the five in the team picture. 263 batting average, 16 seasons with the Phillies, 103 homers, 35 steals. I'll give you the final call, Sal. Hamner or Bancroft?
I think he's got better numbers, and even though he played in a different era, when you talk his name, I mean, he's not up there with Delahante and those guys, but he was a very solid, good ball player, and I think he's in the Phillies Hall of Fame.
All right, then.
And Bancroft, I mean, he was solid and all. He wasn't here that long, and he's marginal at best. He's a journeyman. This guy was a starter.
So if you're a grandson or a granddaughter of Mr. Bancroft, we're gonna do more seasons of this. So
I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm just going on numbers, and it's purely subjective.
No, this is the whole point, is to talk it out and get some experts on these franchises. Outfielders, we've got. I think this is pretty solid, but again, I'm gonna lean towards you if I'm missing out someone that's obvious. Okay. So we have 9. We're adding 3 this year. We had 6 last year. Richie Ashburn, you got to have.
Right.
Bobby Abreu, Chuck Klein, Greg Luzinski, Shane Victorino, Von Hayes.
There you go.
And then the 3 we're adding this year, tentatively, Ed Delahante. I can't believe I didn't have Gary Maddox.
Right.
Up until this year. And then you got to add some characters. I was thinking maybe Jay Johnstone.
Well, Maddox is the obvious white elephant there. As you were going around the horn, a couple names pop. Callison. You got to put Johnny Callison. Johnny Callison if it wasn't for a guy named Clemente, Johnny Callison had the best arm in baseball in the 60s. He could take a ball at the track, at the base of the wall, and throw a BB to the plate. It was a one hopper off the dirt right in front of home. But Clemente could do it without the one hop. So I would add Maddox and Callison somewhere in there. Okay. Kluzinski because of his bat. But, if you're going to go overall talent, combine defense with offense, all those other guys are definitely, you got to keep them on there. Victorino, what a, oh my God. He's the kind of guy you build a franchise around.
I can't stand Victorino for obvious reasons as a Met fan. I can't stand
Yeah, but I mean, his enthusiasm, the way he plays the game, it's correct.
Yeah.
You got to, he honors the game. You got to love guys like that. Because that's what it's all about.
And that's why Met fans don't like him, because he's such a good player and he plays the right way.
Right. Well, I understand. I didn't like Rose till he became a Philly.
There you go.
So I didn't like Dykstra.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, he's a part of us just like he's a part of you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, he's a train wreck now. It's a shame. Well, I shouldn't say that. That's a shame. Lenny, we're rooting for you, buddy.
He just had a birthday yesterday, I think. Yeah.
So let's add Callis, and then maybe we could find another home for Jay Johnstone before the end of the night at some point.
I love Johnstone, especially the flag thing and all. But,
yeah, we got to keep him in at some point.
You know, he doesn't get the same consideration because he wasn't a Philly as long. You got to put tenure in there. You know,
Sure.
It has to be important.
Yeah. And then and by the way, we're not gonna spend too much time on relief pitching just because they're not utilized. In a baseball utopia, starting pitchers don't go 4 1/3 in a World Series game. Just so, you know. But the last thing we're going to hit for the Phillies, like I said, the starting pitching is very deep. We got Carlton, Roberts, Leon Day, Grover Cleveland Alexander, Cliff Lee. Some of the names that we're considering adding: Chris Short and Kurt Simmons. Who else?
How about Jim Bunning?
So Jim Bunning was one of the first guys that I added to the Durham Bulls to give them a little bit of depth.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Let me think now. So let me see. So you got Pete there, old Pete Alexander. Yeah. You got Robin Roberts. You got Lefty.
Trying to think of some guys who.
How about you? Did you have Cliff Lee?
I did have Cliff Lee. Yeah.
Oh, okay. We got him. I was surprised he wasn't an Indian. No room for Halladay, I guess.
So I have Halladay in Toronto.
Yeah, that's where he belongs. Yeah. Okay. I don't have a problem with your list. I was just trying to think if we could add any. Yeah, that's fine.
Looking good. All right. So the Phillies pretty much cemented. Again, later tonight, we're going to post the final Phillies roster for 2022, but looking at some of the additions, we got Mike Lieberthal, Fred Luderis, Manny Trio, Granny Hamner, Ed Delahante, Gary Maddox, Johnny Callison, and Chris Short coming to the universe in 2022. All right, Tim. Let's get to the Mets. All right. Catcher. Again, a lesser-known guy, Mike Piazza. Give him a chance.
Yep.
Todd Hundley.
Okay.
And then, so when David Rubin and I had a catch about a month back, I asked him for his input on catcher. And because his daughter is a member of this group, we went with Duffy Dyer.
Okay. All right.
There might be a third catcher that seems more obvious, but like if you got someone's child in here,
exactly.
let's get him in that uniform.
Yeah, right.
Right. The only other name, obviously, Gary Carter is probably with Montreal, right? Yeah. And I was watching the Seaver documentary the other day, and he always spoke so highly of Jerry Grody. And I know, I before my time, but I don't know if he has a spot maybe in the future in the universe to catch the franchise one day. Again, I think that'd be pretty cool.
John Stearns.
And keep in mind too, again, if we're not adding some of your favorites or some of the obvious names tonight, we're going to add them at some point in the universe. We're always adding players, but for this year, it looks like we're going to go Piazza, Hundley, and Dyer.
Okay.
First base, we've got two obvious names, and then Tim, I'm going to defer to you for the third one.
Okay.
We've got Keith Hernandez.
Yep.
Pete Alonso.
Okay.
And then for the third first baseman slot, I had a couple guys in mind. Ed Kranepool and one of my daughter's favorite players, Lucas Duda. Now, she's not watching tonight, so you don't have to worry about hurting her feelings.
One of Ed Kranepool makes sense, right? Yeah. Up until David Wright came around, he was the all-time hits leader. I mean, he signed out of high school, But your daughter's favorite player, my son, when we would go to Met games when he was little, he's 17 now. They were some not very good Met teams that we were watching. While Utley and the guys are running the East and everything, and Duda hit like 2 home runs and almost hit a third in one game, and that's all my 6-year-old, 7-year-old son talked about on the ride home. He didn't care that they lost and the pitching imploded. Duda hit almost 3 bombs. So, I'm with you, Joey. We got a lot in common. I'm cool with. I like Lucas Duda. You know,
Sal. I don't know if we've lost Sal. I don't know if he was unhappy with your.
I don't know. He's not happy with the Crane Pool, and I like Ed Crane Pool. He's got a lot of great stories too. But something about little kids with for Lucas Duda.
Sure.
We can go with him.
All right, let's give Duda a crack in 2022. Yeah. Second base, again, some of these positions, like the three names, just feel right. I've got Edgardo Alfonso, Jeff McNeil, and then we're 1986 centric tonight.
Okay.
How about Wally Backman?
Wally, you got to go. What were you back in '86? Were you happier when? And I love Tuffle, but I was always happier for whatever reason when Wally was in the lineup, batting second.
Like when I think of that position, I think of Wally Backman.
Yeah, exactly.
And it has nothing to do with the Tuffle's error in Game 1. Sal is back with us.
I don't know what happened. You know me and electronic demons. I hate
Sal, were you mad about Ed Crane Pool getting left out over Lucas Duda behind Lucas?
I just think, look, Duda, I think is going to wind up, if he continues, he's going to be the better ball player, I believe. But it's a short sample for now. Yeah. So I think you have to, not that it makes it absolutely because you were there longer, you got to take that into consideration. Yeah. And if you do and you still come up with Duda, I don't have a problem with him. He's a good ball player.
All right. So let's take a look at third base. Obviously, David Wright's going to get the majority of the at-bats. I got J.D. Davis, and then we're thinking about adding a World Series MVP by the name of Ray Knight.
Ray Knight, let's do it. I love it. He always wanted to come back to the Mets,
Right.
See, and this is where the universe gives you that chance to, like, can you imagine on the home opener for the Mets if Ray Knight gets a pinch hit at bat in the 8th inning, the ovation he's going to get?
Yeah. Oh, it'd be wonderful. Wonderful.
Well, if you separate, I mean, of course, it's the glory. It gives him the nod because Hojo's just as good a third baseman.
Oh yeah,
I think they're similar ball players. You know?
Sure.
But he gets the nod because what do you remember? You know, I can still see him clapping his hands. I don't know what kind of prance that was when he was coming on the score. Yeah.
Well, Howard Johnson's actually one of my favorite, not just Mets ever, players ever. And at shortstop, I've got Howard Johnson, Jose Reyes, and Bud Harrelson.
Did he play enough short to get the nod? I guess he did.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was a 30-30 guy at short.
Yep. He was a gritty ball player. I admired the way he approached everything.
He was my other Mets poster in my room. I had Strawberry and I had Hojo.
Nice. So those, by the way, those were my first two. The first year I played rotisserie league baseball was 1990.
Yeah.
Of course, I went Mets. The first two picks I took, I'm sorry. I think Strawberry was a Dodger at that point.
Yep.
I think I took Strawberry in the first round, Johnson in the second.
There you go. And Hojo had an awesome year. The first year Strawberry went to LA.
Yeah.
Hojo tore it up. Like he just had and then I guess injuries and stuff,
Yeah.
Got to move him to center field.
All right. For outfield, we've got Negro League Hall of Famer Turkey Stearns. We got Darryl Strawberry. We got Kid Conforto. One of my favorite players as a kid, Lenny Dykstra.
Mm-hmm.
I went with Curtis Granderson, maybe not the longest tenure, but a very popular player. Had some amazing years with the Yankees and the Tigers.
Yeah.
Mookie, you can't leave Mookie out. And then we went with a little bit of a 69 team nod here with Tommy Agee, Don Clendenin, and Cleon Jones.
Perfect.
All right. Pitching. The Mets are obviously deep in the history of their franchise with starting pitching. I don't think you're going to have a problem with any of these names, Tim.
Nope.
Tom Seaver.
Nope.
Jacob deGrom.
Yep.
Dwight Gooden.
Yep.
Jerry Kuzman.
Yep.
And then for the fifth starter, I've got 5 potential names here.
Okay.
We've got, now I know he's no longer a Met, but Noah Syndergaard.
Mm-hmm.
We got John Matlack.
Yep.
We got Ron Darling.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a guy that played for the Mets in the 19th century, Tim Keefe.
Okay.
Because this year we're adding at least one player from the 19th century to every franchise.
Yep.
And then I felt really strongly about giving Bob Ojeda.
Bobby O.
a chance here in 2022.
No Johan?
So I have Johan with Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, he's the only no-hitter you got. And really, do you remember that ball down the third baseline?
Yes.
It was
Yes,
foul.
I do. Yes,
It was
I
foul.
do.
So
Yeah.
it was not a hit. So you still
There you
don't have a no-hitter.
Oh, come on now. Come on
Hey.
now.
Hey, I will shut the show down.
Nice here, Sal. Let's go.
All right. And by the way, we're gonna also. I think it would make perfect sense to give Jeff Innes a crack in 2022.
Yes, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the only name that's and you again, pitching is deep. That's what the Mets franchise has been known for. Sid Fernandez just is
Yeah.
underrated.
Yeah.
Even when he was playing with him, and he, I don't know, he had easy motion because he didn't look. He was more Bartolo than he was Noah Syndergaard,
Yeah.
But he could still put it up to 90, 95 miles per hour and strike out 200 batters. So,
I love Sid Fernandez, and I want to see him at some point, whether it's with the Mets or maybe we put him in Durham just because the color scheme's similar. But I love Sid Fernandez, and don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Sorry.
No. When I say don't get me started in that way, it means get me started.
Oh, gotcha. I mean, and there's an opportunity. Sal's got his, the Flying Hawaiian over there in Philly. Mets could have had 3 Hawaiian punches: Darling, El Cid,
Right.
and one of my favorite players from the late '90s, early 2000s, Benny Agbayani. I
forgot about Benny. I forgot about him. Yeah.
Yep.
Wasn't Benny the guy that hit the Grand Slam in Japan?
Yes. Yep.
On opening day, 99 or yeah.
Yep. And when he hit the walk-off home run in the playoffs against the Giants, I was in the building for that game. It was,
nice.
It was amazing in the division series. So
nice.
They say timing is everything in comedy. So I dropped the ball. I'm not bringing this up beforehand, but when you guys were going around the horn, I forgot to ask because there was at least 2 positions he could have played for you. And, unless another team has him now, of course, but Bobby Bonilla.
Well,
all right. So here's the great thing. Now
I'm saying that.
Yeah, I know.
You understand.
We've got, I think next week we're doing a week from tonight, we're doing our North Division show.
Right.
So let's just say, I think there's a good chance we're going to hear Bobby Bo's name as the Pittsburgh Pirates are a North Division team in the universe. I'm not saying he's in, I'm not saying he's out, but who is going to be paying that annuity in the universe 50 years from now?
Joey B. Joe Boo.
All right.
If he winds up in the North Division, I'm guessing it's his former team, so they're going to have to take it all back.
Yeah. Then we got to reset all the financials on that. All right. We're going to get to the Red Sox here in a second here, but first, Sal, where can we find you on Thursday nights?
Yeah, I co-host a show out of Philadelphia on WWDB Talk 860 AM with Mark Mancini from Sirius XM Radio. And the show's called Liberty Bell Smack. And our administrator is Marianne Costello. And a lot of you guys might know her from Comcast. She has her own TV show, Bear All TV. And we're on, it's a weekly show for about an hour. And, Mark's expertise in the business, he brings A-list guests every week. And, as you know, we have a pretty good banter. I'm new at this. They've taken me along for this ride, but we're blending nicely. And as you know, you were on the show, and I think we rival any of the shows that've been on a while, and a lot of that's attributed to their expertise. They're consummate pros, and I'm just I grabbed on to the ass end of the shooting star. So, yeah,
awesome.
All right. So, check out Liberty Bell Smack every Thursday.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's also on Facebook Live, so you can see the show as opposed to just hear it, because it's an AM dial, kind of sketchy, number one. And the FCC goes dark at 6:30, so you're not even going to see the whole show live. Although it goes in the can, you can see it if you have the app and whatnot. But I tell everybody, if you have Facebook Live, because I'm a ham, you can see us, not just hear us.
Yeah, I love the show, and I've been fortunate to be a guest. And I was actually, I think, your first call in for your first show.
Yes, you were. You broke us in.
Back, so.
It's awesome.
All right. Let's take a look at the Boston Red Sox. Again, a team that's just rich with history here. Again, we're going to be adding 10 players to every roster this year. We're going to add the 19th century player as a guy that can catch a little bit, play a little bit of outfield, Deacon White. We added Marty Barrett to the roster this year. He's going to back up Dustin Pedroia and Bobby Dorr at second base.
Right.
This is another name that I can't believe hasn't been a Utopian player up until now, but Rico Petrocelli.
Oh, yeah.
And then one of my favorite players, he actually was a Red Sox. Then he was a Brewer for a year. He's back with the Red Sox. Jackie Bradley Jr.
JBJ.
He's going to make his debut this year. I don't know how many at-bats he's going to get over, Yaz and Ted Williams and Manny, but he's going to be in uniform. He's going to be there ready to contribute. And then two names from the late 70s, early 80s, Tony Armas, former AL home run champion. And then Mike Greenwell had one of the most amazing years. Didn't he have like 89 ribbies at the break one year?
Yeah. Wait, it was his rookie year, 88, 89.
Yeah,
like
it's crazy. And then he was out of the league in 5 years. It seemed.
And Ellis Burks, who he came in with, had such a long career.
Yeah. So he didn't have that immediate splash, but he had way more longevity than Greenwell did.
Yeah. So your roster's filled with Boston. You don't have any spots to fill?
So everything's negotiable tonight. The two other players that we're considering adding are starting pitchers, Herb Pennock and Tim Wakefield. But again, nothing is set in stone. If there's an obvious name I'm leaving out, let's hear it now.
Lefty Grove wasn't there long, but do you have him? He's probably on another team, probably in athletics, right? He
was actually the opening day starter for the A's last year. He struggled a little bit last year. He's going to make the team. He's going to be in the rotation, whether he starts opening day or not. But yeah, we definitely have Grove.
How about as a Hall of Famer? So he's got to be in the mix, but he might be a senator also. Joe Cronin.
So ironically, Joe Cronin was chosen to be the manager of the Red Sox.
Okay.
Because I wanted to have a manager too, and I said, the resume is pretty good. I mean, good player, but I've got Tito running the Cleveland franchise. Let's put Cronin in there. So
he's just as valuable as a manager, even if he doesn't play. You're right. It's just like a Boudreaux situation.
Sure.
Or my post the other day. Who was that guy? I forget now. First season at the helm, he won the pennant. Well, it'll come to me later.
As soon as you sign off, it'll come to you.
Yeah, right. 3 a.m, I'll wake up to pee. That was the guy. Son of a gun.
And you better post it right here in the universe. I'm going to be thinking about that now. All right. The Toronto Blue Jays made a huge splash in this offseason, signing Hall of Fame catcher Roger Bresnahan. He's going to be the starting catcher on opening day for Toronto. Blue Jays adding some depth at second base, Damaso Garcia.
Nice.
Edwin Encarnacion is going to make his debut this year with the Toronto Blue Jays. We're bringing back some guys from the 90s, Vernon Wells, Shannon Stewart. And then at starting pitcher, we're looking at Pat Henkin and Doyle Alexander. Now, because the Blue Jays only go back to 1977, if you have a name in mind, he's probably already on the team. So, Joe Carter, George Bell.
Dave Steve.
Steve was my favorite player growing up, my favorite pitcher growing up. Juan Guzman, Mosby, Barfield.
Where does David Cone land? He's got to be on a team. Probably Kansas City. Probably Kansas City.
Kansas City. So the last 2 years, I've slotted him as like the second starter.
Yeah. With
Kansas City. I love David Cone. I so badly wanted to put him on the Mets, but there's so much pitching.
Yeah.
And the Royals, he got to start with Kansas City. He went back there for a little bit, but Toronto is one of these franchises where, they had such success from like, the mid 80s to the early to mid 90s. So a lot of the players on this franchise, we're going to pull from that era. Tony Fernandez, Pat Borders.
Yep.
Yeah, had a lot of mercenaries too, and I'm just wondering, are the obvious names there because they just were there for a while? And they're probably like Molitor's probably a twin, right?
Brewers.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and it makes more sense, right? Yeah. Okay, how about Ward? He was a journeyman infielder, I think. I forget his first name.
Well, I have Dwayne Ward. I have the relief pitcher.
Yeah, he's a pitcher, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We got him eating up 8th innings here in the Utopia.
How about Garth or Dane Org?
Yeah.
Oh, right. I would love to add an org at some point. Seriously. No,
you got Olerud, I'm sure.
Olerud, I mean, he could be the Seattle.
Well, I got Olerud in Toronto.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So let's get back to the orgs because I've got some names here that are not, like they had a couple good years. Like what Dane Org's primary position is?
I think I'm going to look right now. Middle infield, I want to say. I want to make sure I'm right. I'm trying to think of my 86 Topps cards here.
Yeah.
I think he was a first baseman outfielder.
Dane Org, let's see here.
I don't know why I think that.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Dane Org, first baseman outfielder.
Okay.
And then Garth Org. It didn't say. It just said he played with the Blue Jays, and now he's a first base coach for the Brewers. Third baseman.
I didn't even know that.
So Garth Org is a third and second baseman, and Dane Org was a first base outfielder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dane. All right. So I have of Shannon Stewart and Vernon Wells. Which one should I replace? And then obviously, again, if you're a nephew, if you're a cousin of one of these two gentlemen, we're gonna get to your uncle or grandfather at some point. But do you think we should go Org over Stewart?
If we're gonna get an Org in the Utopia,
we gotta get an Oregon.
Yeah, get an Oregon. Vernon Wells, I think, was a premier power hitter for a short time. Maybe even longer than I'm remembering. So I'm thinking Lloyd Mosby's probably on the team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got a center fielder, right? You got a center fielder. Is Devon White in the UBU?
I don't believe he is.
Because that's another center fielder too. But anyway, I think if you're going to go with an Org, which I can appreciate, maybe Shannon Stewart's got to just get back to the buses, the bush leagues.
So Shannon Stewart, he's going to, somewhere in this universe, I'm sure that there's a Utopian Baseball, AAA or quadruple A, where, we're just getting ready to get your feet wet. All right. So Dane Org, welcome to the universe. You're gonna join the Toronto Blue Jays. Let's look at now. Again, the Montreal Expos are a tough team to do because you've got this limited history. There's nothing current I can pull from. They have a lot of current, Luke Voigt's not going to get at bats over Lou Gehrig and Don Mattingly, so we put him in Montreal. Tim Wallach, Zach Wheeler's not going to get a start for the Mets, so we put him in Montreal. A lot of the players that we're adding, though, do have Montreal ties just because either I didn't have them for the first 2 years as an oversight, but, names like Warren Cromartie, Rondell White, Ellis Valentine, I think deserve to get that nod going forward.
Definitely.
Chris Spire.
Yep.
You got to have in there, hey, what a career. I'm like as a player, but he's been coaching now in the major leagues for, it seems like, almost 35 years.
Yeah.
So
do you have Rusty on the Mets?
I have him on the Expos.
Okay. Because I think he belongs there.
Montreal is a lot like Toronto, where the obvious names are here. Gary Carter, Andres Galarraga, Wallach,
Dawson,
Vlad Guerrero, Dawson, Raines, Grissom, DeShields. From the bump, we got Steve Rogers, Dennis Martinez, Bryn Smith threw a no-hitter last year on July 4th.
You got Ron LaFleur in Detroit, or is he an Expo?
I don't have Ron LaFleur.
Or is he playing behind the wall again?
We could. Ron LaFleur had an amazing career. I think he's a multi-time stolen base leader.
Yeah.
Do we add LaFleur tonight? Is there a?
I think so.
Okay. Because the other outfielders I have are Guerrero, Raines, Dawson, Grissom, Alou, Staub, and then the three under consideration were Cromartie, White, and Valentine. So if we put LaFleur in, we'd probably have to pull from one of those three newer ones.
You were talking about strong arms before. Ellis Valentine had a cannon.
Yeah.
Too.
Should we go LaFleur over White?
Yeah, I think Valentine and who was the other? They deserve more consideration than White. I think. Yeah, Cromartie, absolutely. Cromartie's he's one of the guys you think of when you think of that tricolored helmet.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then for pitching, the Expos actually landed Hall of Famer Rube Marquardt to start opening day. And then we're going to add Spaceman Bill Lee to the Expos.
Nice.
Love him. I love him.
All right. Let's see. All right, we got three teams left. Let's go. We're gonna save the Yankees for last, just because our producers are telling us that they're gonna pull in some good ratings, I suppose.
Okay.
So we'll save them for. Let's look at the Baltimore Orioles. It's kind of weird. The Orioles, their history goes back to the original, American League when they were the St. Louis Browns.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, and I can't pinpoint why, I felt like this team is one of the harder teams to fill because you have 53 years in St. Louis. And
one guy I can think of, right? Rogers.
Yeah.
Other than that, I can't remember off the top of my head. And there's other good ball players, but you're right. Most of their iconic ball players have been recent, 53 up.
Well, tell me about the gentleman that you're mentioning right now, because I don't think I have.
Hornsby,
yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have him in with the Cardinals.
Right. That's where he belongs.
Yeah. Okay. Because when you said Rogers, I was thinking last name. I was like, I don't think I have that. But yeah, Rogers Hornsby,
right,
one of the greatest second basemen of all time, if not the greatest.
Yeah, I think so. He averaged 400 for 5 seasons straight. Averaged over 400.
Just a day at the office, 2 for 5.
Yeah. So as far as adding names for this year, I think of all the teams we're discussing tonight, this might be the one that has the most discussion because I don't know how I feel about what we have right now. So like at catcher, there's only 3 names that really came to mind. Dempsey, Chris Boyles, and Matt Wieters. Is there who am I leaving off?
Andy Etchebarren, but he had no offense at all, I don't think. Yeah.
He coached here in Milwaukee for a bit.
Mickey Tettleton, is he
Detroit?
Right.
Yeah.
We have Tettleton in Detroit.
Okay. Yeah, because he had some pretty decent numbers in a couple of years. Yeah.
First base is interesting because we got 2 Hall of Famers in Eddie Murray and George Sisler. And then you got to have Boog Powell, right?
Yes.
I mean, the guy's got his own barbecue.
Yeah. Second base, and again, no disrespect to these gentlemen because I'm just sitting here sipping a rock star whipped strawberry. This is my contribution to athletics tonight. But I've got Brian Roberts, Negro League Hall of Famer Frank Grant, and Del Pratt.
And I can't think off the top of my head of many.
It's a tough franchise, I guess, for whatever reason.
If you have to put another guy there as a sub, like Billy, I guess.
Yeah, Billy. Billy Ripken. I mean, Alomar's probably with Toronto, Cleveland.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Let's put Billy Ripken in there instead of Del Pratt.
Yep. Okay.
Because it's I think when we're splitting hairs, let's go to the player that is more recognizable. That is, like when I'm posting lineups, I don't know how many people in the universe can be like, "Hey, Del Pratt's playing second base tonight for the Orioles."
Right. Good point. Right.
Third base, obviously the vacuum, Brooks Robinson. What about Doug DeCense making his debut this year?
Yes.
Sure.
Shortstop, again, the same problem that the Mets catchers have, or the Phillies third baseman. Lesser known names. Bill's older brother.
Yeah, you might have heard of him.
We also have Manny Machado, who's actually one of my least favorite players, and then Mark Bellinger.
Yeah, Bellinger was a good ball player.
All right.
Yeah.
Now for outfield, again, now at the start of the show tonight, we were talking about the players that could have gone to one of two different places. One of the hardest decisions that I made when we started this 2 years ago was, is Frank Robinson a Red or is he an Oriole?
And the numbers bear out that he almost split it half each way, and he had awards each way. But he had that World Series success in Baltimore, so I think he gets the nod there. That's what I would do.
And that's what we ended up doing, strictly because it was easier to fill out a Reds roster than it was an Orioles roster.
Yeah.
And your Ohio affiliation. Come on, you're biased. Your Ohio affiliation.
Yeah. So we got Frank Robinson, we've got Adam Jones, and then
I love Adam Jones. When he played, he was just a joy.
Yeah.
To watch, and even he loved playing in the World Baseball Classic. And then when COVID first started and he was playing overseas in Japan, he would come on ESPN at like 4 a.m. and was talking. He's a joy. Like, I'm not an Adam Jones fan. I shouldn't be for any reason other than I just love listening to him talk baseball and watching him play. So he's one of my favorites.
Who was that caveman that we had with the Phillies when we won it in 2008, and he wound up becoming a national? What was his name?
Jason Worth, right?
Yeah, Jason
Worth. Yeah. Now he was an Oriole, but I think he was a catcher when he was there. I was going to tell you, if he was an outfielder, you could throw him in the mix there because you don't have a lot of outfielders for Baltimore.
So we've got Worth in Washington just because, again, it's just a really hard team to fill in. It's like you got to pull any recognizable name here. Right. For the other Orioles outfielders, we've got Nick Markakis, Trey Mancini. We're adding Willie Keeler. I always say his name wrong. 44-game hitting streak 150 years ago.
Yep.
I love Chris Davis. I know he's like a 160 lifetime hitter, but Crush Davis.
Yep. Chris Davis, right?
Yeah, Chris Davis. Al Bumbry, Mike Devereaux, and Brady Anderson. Now, Brady Anderson is a controversial figure. The guy, you went from hitting 218 to hitting 53 homers one year. And so, again, if there's a more obvious name that would make more sense. But.
I'm you were talking about with Frank Robinson with the Reds and the Orioles. How about this as a Red and Oriole? Where does Eric Davis on Cincinnati?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because he had some success with Baltimore later on in his career.
Yeah. Eric Davis might be in my top 10 all-time favorite players.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
So when I think of Eric Davis, I think of that Nasty Boys team, 1990. Yep. So Davis is going to be playing center field in there.
I read a stat with him, and he had a 162 game stretch, and injuries. We all know injuries. Sideline his career, but he had a 162 game stretch where I think he hit 50 homers and stole 90 bases in that stretch. Like, he was unreal.
Yeah. I don't think anyone else has done that in the history of baseball. No. Starting pitching, again, the Orioles, kind of like the Mets, very deep in starting pitching, especially in the 60s and 70s. This staff actually, like 80% of it, I think, may have been a staff at some point. We've got Palmer, Dave McNally, Mike Cuellar, Steve Stone, Mike Mussina, and then some, maybe lesser names, but had a lot of success at some point with Baltimore: Scott McGregor, Mike Flanagan, Mike Boddicker, and adding Urban Shocker in 2022. Obviously, a older name from the past. And then you got Greg Olson and Zach Britton as your kind of lefty-righty tandem out of the bullpen. But any other names that I'm...
Pat Dobson, and the reason I bring him up, wasn't he with Palmer and Cuellar and them? They had 4 20-game winners one year.
Yeah.
And wasn't Dobson one of them?
I believe so. So,
just because of that historical thing, he stands out to me.
Yeah.
Let's add him again. Now, if we're just looking at historical context and what
no, he had decent numbers besides, but he definitely
did.
stood out in Baltimore because of that. Like I said, they're the only team before or since to have 420 game winners.
Yeah. Let's put Mike Flanagan in the booth. We've got great booths here in the Utopian Baseball Universe. He was a great color man for years. Let's give Pat Dobson a chance to make the roster, the opening day roster. Dobson's another guy that I think was a coach here in Milwaukee for a couple of years in the 80s. All right. That brings us to the Washington Nationals, and then it'll be time to bid adieu for the night as we've been looking at the East Division here in the Utopian Baseball Universe with my guests, Tim St. Clair and Sal Tartaglia. The Nationals, again, because I have the Expos, we're giving all those historically great Expos, we're putting them in Montreal. So here you've got less than 20 years to pull from.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really being generous with like 19th century players. There's probably a bigger percentage of current players on the Nationals. So we're gonna have a little bit of fun with this one tonight. What I'd like to do, gentlemen, is I've got 5 roster spots, and I'd like to pull from any franchise in history that's not in the universe for this Nationals team. So let's really have fun with this one. And I'll go over the roster again if I'm missing out a name. At catcher, we have Wilson Ramos, Jan Gomes, and Brian Schneider.
Okay.
And of course, I've spelled 2 of these names wrong, so let's figure it out. First base, obviously, we got Ryan Zimmerman, Adam LaRoche, and Matt Adams. Second base, now, Tim, this was, again, tough for me because I love Daniel Murphy, but I put him on the Nationals because it was so hard to find, relevant names.
Yeah.
But what I'd like to do is I'd like to give Daniel Murphy some competition at second base.
Okay.
So, again, all the obvious names, like your Sandbergs, your Rogers Hornsbys, your Eddie Collinses, they're going to be represented. We're going to have to really dig into like our baseball card collection or our childhood memories. Is there another second baseman that I think would make a good fit in the Utopian? It doesn't have to be a historically great player.
Manny Trio would have been good in this spot.
Can we get the lesser Cora brother, not the manager, the other one? What was
Joey.
Joey? Wasn't he
Joey
a Ranger? Wasn't he a Ranger?
Joey Cora?
Was he a Ranger? There's your tie to the Nationals, right?
There you go.
Washington. Like, I don't know.
I like it. I mean, again, here we have some creative license because there's nowhere else to pull from. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I have no problem. I think that would be a decent, solid addition to any roster. So Joey Cora?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
All right. So again, someone in the back office here, you can get Joey Cora's family on the line and let him know that he's a National.
Or call Alex and just say, get your brother on the phone.
Yeah. Third base. Now, last year when we had Erica Reynosa on the show, I said, hey, Anthony Rendon is going to be a National forever, so you don't have to worry about him ever wearing an Angels jersey here. So we got Rendon at third. We got Asdrubal Cabrera, favorite of mine.
Yeah.
But let's try to think of a third baseman that would fit again in that mold of not an obvious name on another roster, but had a significant contribution.
Is Buddy Bell in Cleveland?
I actually have Buddy Bell in Durham.
Oh, in Durham. Okay.
Because that's one of the names from childhood where like he was just solid,
Yeah.
So I had to have him in Durham.
How about David Bell? I don't think anybody picked him up because he wasn't as good a ball player as his dad or granddad.
Yeah, I don't have David Bell represented, so we can definitely go David Bell here.
Look at that. Who said Mets fans and Philly fans working together, right?
Working together, God help.
Yeah.
And let's see, at shortstop we got Trey Turner and Ian Desmond, and again, this is one of the positions where I could use some some help here pulling from history.
Who was the shortstop? And I'm drawing a blank. That in 2004, when the Red Sox won, Nomar got traded in the middle of the season to Chicago, and then the shortstop who went to Boston from like Montreal and the Angels. I can't remember, and he was good. Like when he played, and I was trying to think about him with Montreal, and I'm drawing a blank. And he played well in the. I had a ton of pine tar on his helmet. Dominican player. Let me look. I don't know if he's in the UBU.
Let me look. You said it was the 04 Red Sox?
Yeah, the 04 Red Sox.
Let's take a look here. Orlando Cabrera?
Yes, Orlando Cabrera.
Let me just double check.
He could be with the Angels. He could be with Montreal.
So now this is a unique. We actually had an example of this last week. We were talking about Kevin Brown, and Mike Cisco asked, "Is Kevin Brown on a team?" And I said, "You know what? I had him on the 2020 Rangers. He went 1-9, so he didn't make the 2021 team. So he's technically like available, but that wouldn't be like in the same category as like Ken Griffey's going to leave the Mariners and he's going to be a Padre next year. Yeah. So right now, Cabrera is not on a roster, but he was an Expo in 2020. Okay. I think the reason I took him off was when we added the Negro League Hall of Famers last year, the Expos drafted a shortstop, Willie Wells. Mm-hmm. So then you add, Hubie Brooks. Now we have Chris Spire. I just didn't have room for him. So, that could be a possibility. But again, he would then become the first player
to be on two teams.
So I wanted to just for at least the first 3 years just stay away from that because we might find out at some point that one of these shortstops in Montreal is canceled or like says something stupid, and it's like, all right, well, Cabrera we could bring back at some point.
All right, how about this as a 80s shortstop, and maybe he's on Kansas City. I loved him when I got him in baseball cards, Buddy Biancalana.
We most definitely, because of his David Letterman tie-ins.
Okay, he's already in.
Definitely have Buddy Biancalana.
Okay, so I don't know. I'm trying to think.
There's a guy, and I don't know if he played shortstop. Maybe Sal or Tim could help me out with this. One of our group members who is a big Cincinnati Reds fan, his name is J.D. Schloss. He has this fascination with Johnny LeMaster.
Oh, Pirate.
I remember him as a Giant.
Was he a shortstop?
Let's think see. He may have been.
Let's see.
Yeah. I remember him as a Giant.
Yeah, he was a Giant. Well, he had this. I would love for JD at some point to come and retell this story, but like there's this fascinating thing with Johnny LeMaster. Something about he had never played for a team better than 5th place in his whole life or something. I don't know. It's like a weird stat. I'd love to honor his legacy.
Position shortstop.
Shortstop.
How'd you go? How about that?
I think he's found a home.
I think we're going to add him. Johnny LeMaster. So if you're watching, JD, your boy is in the Utopian Baseball Universe.
There you go.
We added a pair of 19th century or early 20th century outfielders to the Nationals. Heine Manouche, if I'm saying that correctly, and Pete Browning. We've added Early Win as a 300-game winner, played for the Senators. And then the Nationals are going to have a new closer in 2022, Dick McBride, again, a 19th century player. The Nationals are one of a handful of teams that actually added more than one 19th century player. So we have 2 more roster spots to fill for the Nationals. I need an outfielder and I need a starting pitcher.
Well, what about Shannon Stewart, since we just cut him from
since we screwed him 20 minutes ago?
Yeah, we'll bring him back. It's like a reality show. You got saved.
Yeah, American Idol. Like, all right, the fans voted you off, but
But
Abdul likes you, so
yeah.
Who did we add as a second baseman before
we
this?
added Joey Cora.
Yeah. You know what? Scratch him. No, really.
That's Philadelphia for you right there.
Bucky Harris, even though he's a Hall of Fame manager, he's 278 hitter, second baseman. He's a good ball player.
Bucky Harris?
Yeah, he was a senator for a long time senator, and then player.
Our apologies to the Cora family. Your time will come.
That was a stretch anyway. I went to Texas to grab him because of the connection to the Senators and all. You know, that's weak compared to Bucky Harris. Bucky Harris is senator true and true.
Sometimes unanswered prayers.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going with this, but like, you know, like if a girl rejected you in high school, it's her loss.
Yeah.
So Joey Cora, this is our loss. There's gonna be another universe that fits you better. At some point, we'll get you in there. But
so we're the good-looking women dumping people now.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So do we want to go Shannon Stewart in Washington here?
We need an outfielder and a pitcher, you said?
Yeah.
Outfielder and a pitcher.
Let me see.
I mean, I'm a bleeding heart. Sal just cut a guy. He suggested to be on the team. And you know, I'm trying to save the guy.
Now, keep in mind, too,
he'll fit in
odds of
a better place.
Watching the show tonight are very slim. Very slim.
Yeah, true. Outfielder. We're talking Jay Johnstone, right? I mean, Jay Johnstone was an outfielder. I mean, I picture him in one of two uniforms: the Mariners from Naked Gun, and the Cubs in his baseball card when he had the Budweiser, the visor or the umbrella hat. So, why not Jay Johnstone?
Let's do it.
Not too far from Philadelphia, where he spent some time.
And then and again, you know, how many at bats are these guys going to get? You got Bryce Harper, MVP of the universe last year. You got Juan Soto, the aforementioned Jason Worth, Victor Robles, Adam Eaton, Eric Thames. And, you know, a couple of Hall of Famers in Manouche and Browning. So Jay Johnstone to the Nationals. And pitching, again, you've got some big names at the top of this rotation: Steven Strasburg, Max Scherzer, Ray Brown. And then it gets a little bit thin. Gio Gonzalez, Jordan Zimmerman, Patrick Corbin, Anibal Sanchez. I think at the beginning of the year, I think your rotation, I think you've got the obvious names: Strasburg, Scherzer, and Early Win. I think Ray Brown fits in as a third or fourth starter. And I think we need to make a splash here to end the show. Let's find a starting pitcher again that, you know, didn't make another roster. I don't know how many Hall of Famers are left.
How about the guy that gave up number 60, Tom Zachary, who's a senator?
Tom Zachary?
Yeah.
Now keep in mind too, and I'm not saying no to that, but like we can pull for this last one. We can pull from all 32 teams.
Oh, okay. Because I was looking at the 1924 Senators roster, and I'm sure you have Sam Rice on another team somewhere, right?
We have Rice and Goslin on the Twins.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah. The only name that jumped out at me was, like I said, Zachary, a recognizable name.
You know?
And what do we need now? An outfielder?
Starting pitcher?
What we want to do with this last pick, because this name's not only going to make the roster, this is probably going to be the fifth starter for the Nationals to start the season, because they're so thin at pitcher.
Right.
You got Strasburg, Scherzer, Early Win. That's a great 1, 2, 3. Then you got Ray Brown, Hall of Famer. Let's try to get a fifth that I think would make a splash. And it's tough again because we don't have all the rosters in front of us, but I do.
Yeah. Is Charlie Lee in Montreal? He was a pretty good pitcher in the 80s. He is. Okay.
Yep.
You have Rick Wise on anybody's roster?
I do not. Rick Wise?
Yeah. Rick Wise, I think he had a no, right? He hit 2 homers in a game that he won 2-1 one time. I remember that.
That's right.
But he had a lot of one-hitters. He was like Carlton. You know, came close a lot too.
Interesting. I have no problem adding Rick Wise.
188 wins. It just said on the. I just looked him up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, how many guys in this day and age are going to win 188? The way
No, I don't know.
Right.
I think 200 is the new 300.
Is the new 300?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So Rick Wise coming to the universe here. And again, now we talked about managers earlier. We said, Joe Cronin was the Boston manager. Just to let you guys know who we have managing these rosters this year. We've got Joe Cronin in Boston. We got Charlie Manuel in Philly, Cito Gaston in Toronto, Felipe Alou. Yeah, right. Felipe was,
In Montreal.
Davey Johnson in New York. We got Joe Torre with the Yankees, Earl Weaver, and Dave Martinez. You win a world championship it's got a rank pretty high in your resume. So
And he beat out some other nice names. Davey Johnson was a manager in DC. Frank Robinson was a manager in DC.
All right, so here we go. Again, we're going to post this in about an hour or so. We've got pretty much everything filled in here. Again, some of the bigger names joining the universe in the East Division this year. We've got Marty Barrett, who NBC wanted to name a series MVP.
Yes.
Didn't quite happen that way. We're adding Roger Bresnahan, Hall of Fame catcher, to the Toronto Blue Jays. Gary Maddox is going to make his debut this year with the Phillies. We've got a lot of 86 Mets, Knight, Backman, Ojeda. Oh, we haven't done the Yankees yet.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a couple more minutes?
Yeah,
we almost skipped the
crown jewel of baseball.
People are watching this right now saying, like, what kind of show is this? Like, all right, here we go. So for the Yankees, again, my apologies to the Yankees fans here. It's just an oversight. Here we go. Catcher. Obviously, you got Berra, Munson, and we're going to add Bill Dickey in 2000.
Absolutely. That's right.
Second base, we got Willie Randolph, Billy Martin, and how's about we add Bobby Richardson in 2022?
Yes. There you go.
Third base, this is a suggestion from Mitch Nellis, who's a Red Sox fan, but he's a very learned baseball fan. We have Negro League Hall of Famer Judy Johnson, Greg Nettles, and Mitch is requesting that we add Scott Brocious, just based on the
World Series MVP, right?
Postseason acumen.
Yeah.
Shortstop, and again, this would be something that was probably going to piss Mitch off. So, we extend an olive branch, and then we're going to take away. So we're going to add Bucky Dent to the Yankees in 2022. Outfield, obviously stacked. I mean, pretty much every day you're going to see some combination of Mantle, DiMaggio, Ruth. And then you got Aaron Judge, Bernie Williams, Roger Maris. But thinking about adding Joe Pepitone and Bobby Mercer in 2020.
There you go.
How about Earl Coombs?
But again, this franchise, it's so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think Coombs is better than at least one of them outfilders you mentioned. He's a Hall of Famer.
All right. So let's talk about that. So we got Pepitone, Mercer, and how do you say the other gentleman's name? Coombs. Okay.
Yeah.
Who do we? I don't want to say cut. We'll just say who do we delay?
Mercer. What my mom, being a big Yankee fan, would tell me about Bobby Mercer and how he was groomed as the next Mickey Mantle.
Right, exactly.
Didn't live up to it, but still had an amazing career.
Right.
And the fact that after he retired, he had such he was a wonderful broadcaster for the Yankees up until he passed away. I mean, he's a Yankee, even though he had spent time with the Cubs and the Giants and was in a trade for Bobby Bonds. But you think Bobby Mercer I think he's a Yankee as much as some of these other awesome, amazing players are. That's just
when you mentioned the shortstops, right? I'm sure you just didn't mention the obvious. Like you got Jeter there, right? You got Scooter there.
Yeah, okay. Jeter and Rizzuto.
I'm sorry, Tim. And when you're done, I want to get back to second base because we forgot somebody, and I'm sure that last guy we added, this guy's way better.
Yeah, so we have Willie Randolph, Billy Martin, and then the other one is up for grabs. I was thinking Bobby Richardson, but
Lazzari.
Yes.
Murderer's Row.
You're right.
He set the table.
And
Tony
actually,
Lazzari. Well, Eric Coombs actually did.
we had Lazzari in 2020, and the only reason he didn't make the roster in 2021 was because we actually cut. We went from 33 to 30, and the Yankees are impossible to cut from. Like, it just like
right.
I'm not like. One of the things that makes us unique, we don't have a DH. Now we are the only entity that doesn't have a DH. But the other thing too is that we're not trying to be an extension of Major League Baseball. We're trying to reimagine it as we're in a snow globe. Okay, this is like St. Elsewhere. It's our imagination running wild. I'm not going to have Rifkin and Gehrig play every day,
right?
Because I got to get Don Mattingly some ABs,
right?
You know what I mean? And I don't want to try to retell old stories. Like, I'm not going to have, and it's not fixed. So it's not like it's going to be Ruth and Aaron and Bonds as your home run kings. And Yankees aren't going to win 27 straight. It really is kind of the fate of the shuffler and how the dice roll and things like that. So Don Mattingly is going to be Yankee.
Yeah.
Regardless, and he's going to get a start, probably one start a week to get Gehrig a day off. But when I had to cut last year, I'm like, boy, where do I cut on this Yankees team? So Lazzari was cut. We're going to bring him back. Pitching, we got Guidry, we got Gomez, we got Ford, we got Stottlemyre, we got Pettit, and then last year on the roster we had Red Ruffing. We're going to add, thinking about adding Jack Chesbro, Don Larson. There's probably some names I'm leaving off, but they may have pitched for other franchises.
Carl Mays.
I don't have Carl Mays, but this is going to be a tough one to cut from because
Pennock?
I have Pennock in Boston.
Okay, all right.
So Stottlemyre, I think of these names, is probably the least. Has as a resume, but in 2020, Mel Stottlemyre had 2 complete game shutouts against Boston in the playoffs. Yep. So as far as in the Utopian Baseball universe, Stottlemyre will never have to pay for a dinner again.
Right.
In this thing. So, and I'm sorry, Sal, what was the name that you mentioned? Carl Mays?
Yeah.
Do we cut Tommy John?
Get him right in the elbow. Get him right in the elbow.
I would say
Tommy, I love the irony there.
Tommy because of historical significance.
Yeah.
Tommy because of the longevity and his numbers dwarf Mays's. But and then because Mays, just like him, was not a lifelong Yankee. He was there for a while. So you can't give him the nod for anything. I would go with Tommy over Mays. Yeah, forget that.
And keep in mind too, we're only halfway through. We got the North next week. We got the South at the end of the month. So you get Durham. We're going to have a whole bunch of players adding to Durham. So
is Dwight Evans still the cannon in right field in Durham? Right? I think you told me that the first time. It was awesome.
Yeah, he's one of the guys. Like when creating the rosters. When I was looking at outfielders and keep in mind too, in the Utopian Baseball universe, outfielders are outfielders because in Boston, they're all left fielders.
Yeah.
So I got to have someone play center. I got to have someone play right. But when you're just looking at who are the 3 best outfielders,
right?
Ted Williams, Carl Yastrzemski, Manny Ramirez, how many at-bats are Dwight Evans and Jim Rice going to get? I want to feature these guys. So like, I loved Dwight Evans growing up, even though he was a Red Sox. I'm like, I'm going to make him one of the faces of the Bulls.
Yeah.
So I got the Durham outfield right now is Monty Irvin, Carlos Beltran, and Dwight Evans.
Yeah.
That's a great outfield.
Yeah, it is.
Like I would put that up against a lot of the outfields that are natural outfields.
For you got Evans, Beltran, and who?
Monty Irvin.
Oh, yeah, right. New York Giants.
Because again, Irvin, it's going to be tough to get Irvin at bats over Mays and Bonds and
right.
Yeah.
I mean that you just look at numbers alone, and that may be the greatest outfield of all time.
Yeah.
You don't have Cy Williams anywhere, I noticed.
I don't, but again, we're still on the air, so we got none of this has been printed.
Ink isn't dry yet.
All right, so let's make an argument for Cy Williams here.
Well, I'd like to keep him on my team, but there's no room. So yeah, he's
What
definitely.
position?
If you need an outfielder, he's an outfielder.
Okay.
I believe a center fielder.
Okay, so we've got, we're going to keep Ashburn, we're going to keep Abreu. Who would you choose right now, Victorino or Cy Williams?
That's a tough call, but I'd have to go with Victorino.
Okay.
I just thought if you had any openings on another team, because Cy deserves some consideration. He's definitely a Hall of Famer.
Well, let's keep, again, because Durham, we're going to pull from every era, every franchise. So I'm sure. And if either of you gentlemen want to appear on either of the next two shows, let me know. We've got guests lined up for next week, but I have room for 10, and I've never been able to get 10. I think I got 6 one night, but yeah, next week is North Division. So we got, the Cubs, White Sox, Brewers, Twins, Reds, Guardians, Pirates, and Tigers next week. And then 2 weeks from tonight, we've got the Marlins, Rays, Rangers, Astros, Braves, Bulls, Cardinals, and Royals.
Awesome.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a pop in and
a little cameo.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. So there you have. All right. So we did save the Yankees for last. We did not forget you. I would have felt. Can you imagine if 2 hours now, you didn't do the New York Yankees?
The Yankees could be their own Utopian Baseball Universe and just have inter squad games.
Yeah. Just different eras.
Yeah, right.
All right. So there you have it. The East Division. We're going to post these in probably the next 20 minutes or so. I want to thank Tim St. Clair and Sal Tartaglia, friends of the show.
Yep.
Love having you guys on, and I'm just spoiler alert. I'm going to be having a catch with both of these gentlemen in season 2 of Having a Catch, which is going to debut. Season 2 debuts May 31st, and we're just ironing out dates, but can't wait to have a catch with both of you gentlemen at some point.
Awesome.
Okay.
This Tuesday, go ahead.
I was just saying thanks for having us on, and Sal, it was great to meet you.
You too, Tim. As likewise.
The last thing I want to ask you, Tim, real quick. You and I have loosely committed to streaming Long Gone on
my brother is all in on it too.
He's in?
Yeah.
In the next couple weeks, let's get a date on the calendar because I'm itching to do that.
Okay. Let's do it.
All right.
Well, good.
All right, brothers. Enjoy the Super Bowl.
Yeah, enjoy the Super Bowl.
Who do you guys like Sunday?
I think it's a push.
Yeah, I mean, as a Giant fan, I have no ill will towards Odell. So I kind of want him to do well. I want Stafford to do well. But my son, 17 years old, I don't think, and I teach in high school, every high school football fan male in my town they all love Joe Burrow. Everyone loves Joe Cool.
Great story.
Great story. And how do you, Joey, as a Browns fan, how do you feel with the Bengals and Odell? Because he was
all right. So you know how earlier in the show you said you're a baseball fan before you're a Mets fan?
Yeah.
That's how I am too. But in football, I am a Browns fan before I'm an NFL fan. You take the Browns and fantasy out of it, and I lose interest. So this game, this Sunday, is going to be more about what I'm eating.
Yeah.
So we're going to go wings. We're going to go pretzel dip. We're going to go shrimp. But I love this Cincinnati story.
Yeah.
I love the fact that Burrow, Chase, and one of his, I think, linemen all played together.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm rooting for Cincinnati. I lived in Ohio. I love the state. I got nothing against the Rams. I think Stafford's a great story. The guy wins no playoff games in Detroit. He's a Ram. He's 3-0 now in the playoffs. Yep. So I think it's just going to be a great game. Looking forward to it. They're saying it could be the hottest Super Bowl ever.
Yep. Yeah, they're saying it could be 90 degrees at game time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Luckily, that's inside, so there's some kind of air conditioning. I don't know.
I think that Rams defense is a beast. But Burrow's a magician, and it doesn't phase him at all.
Like every obstacle that Burrow has had, he's done it.
Yeah.
Like
It can go either way.
hitting 9 times in a game, and like, all right, well,
And
against
you
a
could see
ferocious
we saw it
defense,
against the
didn't even
Chiefs.
matter.
So against the Chiefs, they were down 21-3, and I told my wife, I said, this is the last drive. And then like that tip by BJ Hill, that turned the tide and brought him to within 1 score. Yeah. So no lead is safe. No lead is safe with Joe Cool.
Yeah.
I just hope the home stadium thing might be the thing that just gets LA over the hump. But either way, I wouldn't care who wins. I have no skin in the game.
But the crowd is going to be neutral, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Even when it is a Rams home game, there were more 49er fans in the building the last 2 times the 49ers played them.
And I think the tickets for this game were sold out well in advance of knowing who was even going to make it.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be fun. It'll be interesting. Rams, Bengals. The Super Bowl from childhood that I remember the most was that Niners Bengals 2.
Yeah, with
88.
John Taylor. Yeah,
I called it the John Candy game because story. 36 seconds left. He's like, "Hey, isn't that John Candy?"
Yeah.
Right, I'm just going to throw a touchdown here, quick.
Yeah. The first Joe Cool.
Yeah,
now we got another one. Yeah,
exactly. All right, boys. Well, thanks for being with me tonight. Again, this Tuesday, I'm having a catch with Jacob Moses. And then next Friday at 8 o'clock Central, we're going to feature the North Division. So more fun guests. And as we reveal the North Division rosters, opening day is just 6 weeks away. Everyone have a great night, and we'll see you soon.
Keep your fingers crossed. They're having a meeting tomorrow to resolve the CBA, maybe.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's get some baseball.
All right. Nice talking to you guys.
Nice meeting you guys. Have a good night.
Take care.
Take care.